October 1962. The world held its breath. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the closest we've ever come to nuclear war. When U.S. spy planes discovered Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida, President John F. Kennedy imposed a naval blockade. For 13 days, the U.S. and the Soviet Union stood on the edge of total destruction. Phase 1. The first strikes. If Soviet missiles in Cuba launched, Miami, Washington, D.C., and New York would have been targeted first. Military planners estimated tens of millions dead within minutes. In retaliation, the U.S. had bombers and submarines ready to obliterate Moscow, Leningrad, and dozens of Soviet military bases. Few know this. On October 27th, a U.S. reconnaissance plane was actually shot down over Cuba, and Kennedy's generals pushed hard to launch strikes immediately. But he resisted. Phase 2. Europe in flames. Had war broken out, Europe would have been the first battlefield. NATO and Warsaw Pact forces were locked and loaded. U.S. nuclear weapons were already in Turkey, Italy, and West Germany, all pointed at the Soviet Union. Historians estimate that in the first 48 hours, nearly 300 nuclear bombs would have been exchanged, wiping out most of Europe. London, Paris, Berlin, and Warsaw, all ash. An untold fact: a Soviet submarine near Cuba was armed with a nuclear torpedo. Under pressure and thinking war had already begun, the captain almost launched. He was stopped at the last second by his second-in-command, literally preventing World War III. Phase 3. Global fallout. After the first exchanges, the world wouldn't just lose cities, it would lose civilization. Radiation would poison food and water across continents. Nuclear scientists warned of a nuclear winter, ash and smoke blocking the sun, plunging Earth into years of cold and famine. It's likely that over 500 million people would have died in the first year, not just from bombs, but from starvation and collapse. Governments would fall, economies would disintegrate, and survivors would be pushed back into a medieval existence. Instead, both leaders pulled back. Kennedy secretly agreed to withdraw U.S. missiles from Turkey if Khrushchev removed missiles from Cuba. Most of the world never knew this detail until decades later. The result? The world survived. But for 13 days in 1962, humanity's future depended on restraint and a few decisions behind closed doors. Final thought: if the Cuban Missile Crisis had turned nuclear, we might not be here today. The world we know, our cities, technology, even nations, could have ended in October 1962. Would civilization have recovered or ended forever? Comment your thoughts below and follow for more alternate histories that could have reshaped our world.